magic shops in your campaign, yay or nay? First, we'll forget the economy for a moment, and we'll remember it later and bring it up as a topic again, of course. But first, without going into the details of the setting from the economic side, do we need, and usually the default answer is it depends on the setting, but you're the DM, so your setting, let's see what your setting will have. Think of a magic store, not as a money sink, not yet, not as a browsable list of magical goodies to fill out the builds, though that will come in handy later. No, think of magic shop as a sort of a quest giver that says, I need that many of this sort of item to give you this key progression piece of equipment. Yes, that's how you should think about it. It's like a quest giver telling you you'll get this sword once you give me these gems, except the quest item is money. So you need to plan that precisely that well. You need to plan everything that is useful, and then you need to plan everything that is not useful, just as precisely, in fact more so. Make the store padded out with various tidbits that are way below usability, in a way. You know, the type of stuff that will always sell once your party picks it up. They don't need it, they don't care. But make it be slightly interesting for the background, with its descriptions and its uses. Maybe they're mostly magical objects for everyday use that party has no use of. You know, at home, whilst they're, say, traveling. The sort of thing civilians use and not combatants, and the party is mostly in a combat-oriented campaign, something like that. And you fill out the list, and it doesn't have to be a large list. I mean, even a well-supplied magic shop in a capital, depending on the setting, may just have 20 or so trinkets and 5 or 6 or so big deal things. Which big deal things are not even necessarily that big of a deal, except that they are, indeed, strictly something the party wants to use. Now that we have done that, we can plan for when will they get it, because you control when will they get it, and you want to fix this into narration in the story with the beauty and quality of how it will develop. So, when will they get the big drool-worthy power-up? You decide, so you pre-plan. And so you can use this common trick of making it vastly more that they can afford even 2 or 3 times if they cheat, beg, or steal. And now make it so that once you're ready, they have a windfall in the shape that will let them have it if they somehow improvise another amount that you predicted they can improvise. So you sort of give them the key, but the lock is sort of broken, so you expect them to fix the lock, get the fix-it man to come to fix the lock, and then they have the key. Sort of you give them most of what they need, and the little bit of difference, or a lot of difference, but you know, some of the difference they'll make up for with their freedom, because players have a lot of freedom. Also make sure that your money is somewhat fixed. You know that it cannot be easily replicated and amassed in large amounts, and massive amounts of gold cannot be produced by spells on such a level as a party has any soon ability to reach. And in any case, usually people wouldn't use in that setting for money something that can be so easily falsified. So what you want for money is some sort of thing, like per se, if you have in Eastern comics, you frequently have those cultivation resources, which is to say resources, adventurers, or whoever, you know, cultivators, usually they would be called in these, whoever is raising their level, their power, you know, they're cultivating themselves into higher being, resources that they need for higher amounts of power to be gathered to use on something, like crafting resources, like resources for their restoration of their magic points or whatever they have, for what they use for meditation, what the scrolls, for example, scrolls of spells, of techniques. anything that adventurer uses that's a small sort of thing in the grand scale of things that is everyday, that becomes almost like a type of paper currency. A single scroll of level 1 is worth exactly that much. And then, unless there's too many of the same, usually they're sold as completely different. You don't get to sell copies. You sell them as each individual sort of recipe, shall we say. So you can't just copy it 20 times and so on. Also, stores are usually aware of each other and call up each other, and there's auctions and so on and so forth. So you can't just copy a scroll and sell it to 5 different stores in the same town. But you could sell it again in the next town unless somebody has traveled over and sold, which usually merchants can't wait to do so. It's hard for party questing to overtake them and so on. Use a little bit of brain power, but once you fit it into your setting, you now have powerful enough currency that cannot be cheated easily. In fact, concentrate on those resources that are not easily cheated in, because those are the ones that those adventurers, cultivators would use to trade. And why I said small ones, because once you gather 100 small ones, you can sell them to the store for them to give you one big one. And once you're higher level, much higher level, years later when you're level 10, once you were level 1, now you're level 10, now 10 of these will get you the next bigger one. And that's how you use money, in quotations, for your magic store. And the magic store can be, again, as I said, in various occasions, an auction house or something like that. It can be an organization that is selling off some of their redundant equipment, but the organization is much more powerful than current adventurers, but they will be powerful one day. But one day. They're currently not a threat, and these are very, very underpowered armors and weapons for that organization. So it's almost like a military resale or whatnot. And so on and so forth. And that is how we can have a well-controlled, well-fitted magic store, which doesn't break immersion, which relates to the story, which has its own plot twists, which has its own campaign essentially behind it, except players can choose to engage with it to earn more or not. And you will adapt. That's the whole point with what I said initially, for you to keep the price high. You can adapt what they get for how able they are to get it with the story. And of course, for bigger ability, better ideas, you give them a thing a bit sooner, even halfway sooner. Even some things you're willing, if they improvise, to give them at once, which you kept for a chapter later. But you still control everything, and so this is just a boon here and there for their, good playing and well accomplished accomplishments. So, adventure, if you thought this was useful or unique, maybe you can spare me a click and I could see you here next, or even every week, because every week I have more such things for you. I'm M, and welcome to dMTable. See you next time. Bye.